trying to switch from kibble to real food, that is a massive challenge because we've turned them into little carbohydrate addicts. The diet is the foundation of health.
I'm not a computer game player, but I know that there are levels. If you don't master one level, you don't go to the next level. So it keeps repeating. I think that that's how life is, because it keeps repeating until you go, oh my goodness, this is what's happening.
May I share one of my very favorite meditations with you? So it goes, nothing is worth my peace and joy. Breathing in, I smile. Breathing out, I release. This is the practice of freedom.
Hello, my dog lovers. Hello, Ruth.
Hello, Peter. Great to be with you.
Great to be with you too. Welcome everyone to the next episode of Get to Know Your Vet. And the reason why I started recording these is that, number one, I really love connecting with my colleagues and love a good conversation. Number two, I think that you deserve to get to know your vets because, you know, we are humans too. And most of the time on camera, we actually talk about veterinary medicine and how to deal with certain problems. But I thought you never get to know us. So today I have the one and only Dr. Ruth Roberts, who is an amazing veterinarian, integrative veterinarian, and also a good friend. And whenever we get together, Ruth, I feel like we have so much to talk about. So we have not prepared today. We don't have any preset questions or anything. We have a deck of cards with questions as well. But before I go there, I'd like to know what you've been up to.
Well, this is the fun thing. So my wife, Mary Jo, and I are what are called slow mads. And so what that means is that we're moving from place to place, but we're spending 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe 3 months at a time somewhere. We do have an apartment in Slovenia and in Montenegro as well. But at the moment, we are here in Cyprus near Paphos because it's beautiful weather, a lot more pleasant for the winter. Hayo comes with us every time, so the three of us are traveling. And it's been amazing because I can work and take care of my coaches, take care of my business, but at the same time have the freedom to really see more of the world and experience local cultures, the way people are living locally, and learn a lot from them. Cyprus is like Turkey, where cats are everywhere. So, and they're sadly they're overfed, but they're everywhere. And they're, if you need a cat fix, you can just walk down the street and pat a few cats, and you'll be in good shape.
Wow, that sounds a little bit like the Hawaiian Islands as well, where cats are everywhere and birds are decimated. So, this is when humans come in place, right? I mean, we have caused so many problems by tilting nature out of balance. But how is the weather right now?
It's actually a storm rolled up, so thankfully it's calmed down, but it's been beautiful. So 24 Celsius, 74, 76, something like that. Beautiful hiking, beautiful footpath along the sea, which has been phenomenal. And it's a nice place to be in the winter for sure.
I think that the water and ocean are so healing and neutralizing. Like whenever I can go to the ocean, whenever I can go to the beach, and I don't spend really a lot of time in the sun, but I love to swim, and Pax loves to fish. And as soon as I take him anywhere close to the ocean, he starts whimpering and crying, and he wants to go. So what have you been up to at work? I know that you have courses, and I know that you have a thriving community. What have you been up to?
So we're teaching more and more people to be holistic pet health coaches. This has really been the honor of my career to help to start to train these folks. We have actually 3 veterinarians that have enrolled in the program. One of them has graduated, 10 veterinary technicians, and then the rest of the students are pet pros, so groomers, dog walkers, pet sitters, and people that have seen you, the pet parent, come in with your beautiful, happy, healthy 2-year-old dog. And at 4 years, that dog looks sad and tragic and sick. And so they are wanting ways to help pet parents starting with the very first and most important foundational piece, which is food. So that truly has been amazing. Um, we've we are also getting ready to launch a paid community for pet guardians within our group on Circle, and I think that's going to be amazing because there's so many people that want information, but they don't want the craziness that can happen in the Facebook groups. And so that's the way we've set this up, so that I'll do an Ask Me Anything once a month for members of the community, but they'll get clear, honest, and direct help from the coaches on a regular basis, so that they have a direction to head in that's not confusing and not people dumping a bunch of affiliate links at them.
Yeah, that's so nice. I must say that I use social media because it's important to share information, but at the same time, I am the person who doesn't read comments very often. And it's not that I don't like reading the positive comments, but it is so important for us not to be affected negatively by the rants and by the negativity. And so I think that that's a recipe. Not reading comments and not replying to the negative comments, especially, actually is a recipe for the trolls actually moving somewhere else because they need a response. And I it kind of brings me to sharing one thing that I haven't shared before. You know, politics and politically correct kind of environment is actually really annoying. For me, who lived in a communist regime for 27 years, I love freedom of speech, and I also don't like making things what they're not. So there was this ad, I'm not sure whether you've seen it, by American Eagle with a woman whose name is Sydney Sweeney, and she has a good body, she exercises, and she presented genes. And the ad said, Sydney Sweeney has good genes. So obviously, some of the people in certain circles started commenting that this is eugenics and how does she dare, that, that she's promoting good genes, and it was GEANS. But some people just kind of turned it into GENES, and it was just like a big faux pas. And you know what happened actually? And I was so, so glad that the company actually did not apologize, which is a new one, right? Because before, like,
Yes.
companies would pull the ads and everything, and at the end, they tried to bait her in interviews. And she actually said, when I decide to comment on that, I will. And so since then, I realized that when we don't pay attention, when we don't respond to this trolling and negativity, if there is like no response, they can't do anything. And this is actually the beauty of what you're also describing. So you're going to be on Circle, and you're going to
Yes.
have a community. How can people find you on that Circle? I haven't been
Dr.
on
Ruth,
Circle.
well, drruthroberts.com, and we'll have a link on the site where you can go join for free right now. And then as we get ready to launch the community in January, you will be the first to know. But Peter,
Okay,
I'm glad
great.
you brought that up because I think that is so important. If we don't
Mhm.
give the negativity power, then there's so much more we can use that energy to do. And so
Absolutely.
thank you. You're right.
Well,
It's
thank
good on
you for
American Eagle.
also it's it's just funny how the world works, right? Like the pendulum swings from one side to another, and I believe that the truth is actually most often in the middle somewhere. So you know, sometimes one side is right, sometimes the other side is right. Plus, an opinion is not truth, right? Opinion is not truth,
Yes.
it's just an opinion. This brings me on to another kind of side of negativity, and that is that in veterinary medicine, it seems that there are those two camps, the conventional camp and the drugs and the pet food and pet food, processed pet food. And then on the other side, the holistic side. And I do believe that we still have a choice and are empowered because we don't need to really choose certain pet food. We can always educate ourselves about drugs and what is good and useful and what is actually harmful. And I believe that this is why you're also doing what you're doing, right? Because you're kind of empowering dog lovers and cat lovers as well, or just dog lovers.
Yes, cat lovers too. Cat lovers too. Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think cats get left out of the conversation a lot, so it's important to me to help those cat parents figure out options.
How do you navigate the two species at the same time? Like I decided some time ago that working with both cats and dogs is like it's like so different that I was having difficulty to kind of like support and understand both camps, I would say, or both groups of guardians. How do you navigate that?
Well, I mean, I think there's a couple of things. Well, and one is that I've always had both cats and dogs. And in fact, when we started this nomad journey, our cat Pepe traveled with us, along with Mona, a little dachshund, and now Hayo. And he unfortunately died almost 2 years ago, but he was 14. So not as long as I would like, but for all the circumstances he came out of, I think amazing. And I think that there are many households that have both cats and dogs. But Pepe taught me a lot about what cats are and are not willing to put up with. And so for all the cat moms out there and cat dads that are like, I don't want to take my cat to the vet because I'm not getting useful information and the cat is just stressed out. I get that. But it's also how can we help you figure out a way to make this comfortable for your cat to get basic information, especially as they get older. And, from that standpoint, food, because of the way I set up the original crock pet diet, I set it up so that you could feed it to dogs or cats. And for the cat person trying to switch from kibble to real food, that is a massive challenge because we've turned them into little carbohydrate addicts. So that was with my own cats, one that lived to 23, Romy. It took me 6 months to convert her from kibble to canned food, and then another 3 months to go from canned
Yeah.
food to cooked food. And you're probably saying, well, Dr. Ruth, why aren't you feeding this cat raw? And the truth is because she just would not have it. And there's a lot of cats, because they're junkies, we can't get them to raw. And honestly, that is the most appropriate diet for that species. So it's figuring out how do we help that cat parent nurture things along to make better and better and better choices for the cat.
They put additives in the food, right? And that's why
Oh,
cats get addicted. They know exactly what they're doing. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be stopping because there's this, it's a game of two sides. One side is the addiction, and the second side is as humans wanting to really give our pets, our animal friends, what they want and what they need. Yesterday, we were at the restaurant celebrating my friend's birthday, and Pax was there, and I, I spoiled my dog because I give him food from the table, and I didn't, but I can't really resist it. So, so it was. I was thinking like I'm so dysfunctional. I'm exactly as dysfunctional as many of my clients and customers and dog lovers and cat lovers. So it's a, that's my addiction to actually make sure that my dog is happy, right? So
but
yeah, it's
but how much of that kind of stuff does PAX get? I mean, right? So if
oh,
we
not
if we're
much. Like,
doing
and human
everything,
food is fine.
yeah. So if we're doing everything correctly and well for us, for our dogs, for our cats, 90% of the time, 10%'s okay. So, that I think that's reasonable.
I'm a big proponent of actually giving our dogs human food, healthy human food leftovers,
Yes.
vegetables, and meat. And I don't eat much meat. Actually, I eat very rarely meat. We're very lucky that we have deer that is invasive here. So I have a friend who's a hunter, and once in a while he calls me and says, "Hey, do you need anything?" So I do for packs, and I that's actually the kind of happy meat because they roam freely and are not locked up anywhere. So once in a while I eat that, but otherwise, in vet school, we went through a
Yeah.
couple of years of hygiene of food production, and we had to go to slaughterhouses. It was part of our degree in the Czech Republic, and I never forget the moments. And I don't necessarily judge people who eat meat, other than I think that everyone should go through the process. So we actually improved the situation for farm animals and at slaughterhouses, because what I saw and what I know is actually the main reason why I don't want to eat meat on regular basis. Even though I think that it's healthy in some ways.
Well, I have to agree with you. I mean, the visit we made to the slaughterhouse for chickens was the penultimate of the worst. And I do eat meat, but I'm eating much less as I get older because I'm thankfully able to. But I mean, chicken is one of those things I just do not eat because unless it's come from a small family
Mhm,
farm, because
mhm.
it's just horrifying what we do to these animals in the name of getting nutrition for ourselves, and we don't honor the sacrifice that they've made to feed us.
I'm kind of observing today how we've kind of been sliding into the negative, which is actually part of life, and it's
Yeah.
absolutely fine. But everyone who's watching and listening, it's more awareness kind of building, right? Like we need to
Yes.
actually, the world wouldn't change if we don't talk about these things. And at the same time, I don't want you to feel guilty, even though I confess that I'm not sure how you feel, Ruth, but obviously, I feed Pax meat, and he can't always have just deer. So I give him organic and unmedicated meat, but I do have this kind of background guilt about feeding him meat. At the same time, I know that vegetarian dogs and cats are not really healthy, and I don't want to ever do that because I've seen the results in practice. Have you had any experience with vegetarian dogs and cats? Like, what is
They
what
don't
have
do
you
well. Yeah,
noticed? Yeah,
they don't do
yeah.
well. They don't do well. And I would say that for me, for cats, no, we really shouldn't be feeding any starchy grains, or
Hmm.
or beans or anything like this. For
Yeah.
dogs, I think they can do well with more of an omnivorous diet, but they don't do well as vegans. I have to agree with that.
Yeah. You just kind of examine them and you notice so many differences from their musculoskeletal system not being developed fully to aches and propensity to pain, and my observation is that their liver doesn't function well. They're just not well overall,
Yes.
and it's hard to pinpoint to one particular area of the body because the general health is actually not
Yeah,
very good.
there's not the vibrancy that I would like to see. Agreed.
And we want vibrancy. We want a lot of
Yes.
vibrancy for dogs and
Yes.
cats. Yes, 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 yes. I
So
must say that,
and
like I admire you working with both species. I am a self-proclaimed dog veterinarian. I also, I love cats, but I don't necessarily, I think I've been traumatized. And this is probably I don't know why I'm saying these first time things today, but when I was in practice, actually, I had this kind of peculiar experience where one of my assistants had 15 cats. And that was too many. And those cats were stressed and often had to come in, and I had to look after them. And some of them were not very friendly, as you can imagine. Some cats are stressed when they come to veterinary clinic. And every time I decided to go for 1 week of holidays because that was the longest I could go without the practice trembling and crumbling and me not being able to pay the bills because it was just too much of an overhead to carry. So every time I left for a week of holidays, my assistant came with at least 3 or 5 cats to actually be looked at just the day before. And you know how it is when we go on holidays and the practice is super busy. So
oh my God.
I was just like I could not. I was And then I had another client, and she was a very smart, accomplished lawyer. And she believed that the 8 kittens of her adopted cat were her reincarnated children. And when these poor cats started to age and started to kind of passing, she would basically take them to all sorts of different treatments and try to stop what was inevitable. And she almost destroyed her life. She destroyed her practice, ran up bills in all sorts of veterinary clinics. And those were my experiences outside of many lovely cat lovers and cat guardians. These were my experiences that kind of made me feel like, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can watch it. And, it is a little more predominant with cats than dogs. And you know, I've been kind of quiet about it, but I also want to say cats don't do well in crowded environments. So if you have 2 cats, maybe that's okay. And maybe just one cat is fine because, I had 2 cats actually at one point and they hated each other, just hated each other's guts. Like it was
Oh,
like,
that's awful.
yeah, yeah.
It's yeah, you're right. I mean, there tends to be more of this. I'm not sure how to say the word other than this sort of pathologic attachment is the best word I can use to, and you maybe, I,
Human dysfunction.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and we all have quirks and dysfunction, but when it starts
yeah,
destroying our life, right? Like that's not
yeah,
really okay. Or destroying the lives of others, or breaking up marriages because the cats are screaming in the middle of the night and the partner cannot sleep or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
It can get,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so I mean, there is that, but on the other hand, there's this whole subset of OCD with people with dogs, and so they may present as puppy millers, right?
Oh
And they
yeah.
when
Well,
they have
that's
two,
yeah,
right? And that's the situation that Hayo came from, our little dog.
nice. Yeah. Yeah.
But there is, and that's sort of the extreme. But there are many people that have five, six, seven dogs as well,
Hmm.
and it's difficult, right? Because they're trying to help the dogs, they're trying to
Hmm.
help the cats, and nobody else will. And it's hard because they all of a sudden find themselves in a position where they're overwhelmed. The animals are
Hmm.
overwhelmed, and it's not a good situation for anybody. So I'm not sure how we tend to go down these really odd paths when we have these conversations. I'm not
It's
sure
good. It's good. It's
why.
good
Yeah,
to have different like it's people are chemicals, and when we mix together, like it just kind of brings up different ideas and thoughts.
yeah,
I used to say rescue the rescuer because people don't realize that at certain point it's too much, and when it hinders the quality of life of these animals that are actually rescued and the quality of life of the guardians as well, it becomes stressful. And there's so many dogs that actually still need home. And so I think that the right way to address it is to do hormone sparing sterilization with rescue organization, not conventional spay and
yes,
neuter, because we talk about it at
yes.
hormonehealthfordogs.org with Dr. Karen Becker, and we also talk about it in an interview with you. And I'm so glad that you participated in this because I know that you're passionate about hormone health. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience with it?
I mean, well, I started seeing issues back in 2012. I mean, I went from in 2011 taking a hemangiosarcoma the size of a basketball out of a dog's abdomen, cleaning up the abdomen, sewing the dog up, and he never looked back. To 2 years later, my clients have their dogs at the ER dying from something the size of a golf ball. And if they get through that first bleed, then
Mm,
they're dead in 6 months. And
mm,
just many other problems like that. But that's just the most graphic explanation I can tell you.
mm,
And so
mm,
trying to figure out why is this happening? And all I could associate it with was we had really sort of won the battle on pet overpopulation for a little while, anyhow. But ultimately, we're losing the battle on health. I'll let Pax
Um,
finish. Yeah,
Pax is barking. Pax is saying
yeah,
hi. Pax is saying yes, Ruth. We'll just talk about it more
yes,
because he
yeah,
was
right
actually.
on, man.
Paxi, Paxi, come on, come on. There's deer around, and when he hears them, he gets very upset and he wants to guard the property. Paxi! Oh my goodness. He loves to be important. Oh my goodness.
Well,
He
he
just,
is the star
yeah.
of the show.
No, well,
Yeah,
he doesn't care. And to be honest, Paxi. Oh my
it's all good
goodness.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, so
but
so basically, for those of you listeners and viewers who have not been part of the Hormone Health for Dogs .org group and also haven't seen Dr. Ruth Roberts' conversation, it is on my website at petertobias.com. You can just go and look up hormone health, and it'll bring that page with the interview. And for those of you who don't know, spaying and neutering has been related to elevation of luteinizing hormone that appears to cause propensity to different cancers and inflammation and ligament tears and changes in the brain and all that. So I know that Hayo is on hormone replacement therapy as well, correct?
yes, exactly so. And it helped her tremendously. So Pio's about 14, we think. Um, she's got some significant arthritis because she had a broken front leg, and so altered her gait for many years, and
Mm.
a few other bits and pieces. But what's happened over since January, so we're now almost a year in, is that she's regained muscle. She has actually recolorized in her coat, and her energy level is markedly improved. So her episodes of pain and discomfort are, I would say, 25% of what they were to start at the end of the year, or beginning of the year, I should say. So it's
Mm.
been a huge benefit for her. And this is really the challenge now, is to figure out what in specific to do for the female dogs. For males, it's easy. Testosterone is relatively
Mhm.
easy. The
Mhm.
females, it's more of a delicate balance. And so we do use testosterone for Hio, and it's worked well for her, but that may
Yes.
not be optimal. And that's where the next research has to come.
Yeah, I think that the current opinion is that the adjustments need to be made based on the symptoms and based on the hormone levels as well.
Yes.
That combination of estrogen and testosterone in lower doses than in males in some. And I know that again, there's so much research that needs to be done. But
Yes.
anyway, I think it's time for us to start with our little cards, with our
Sounds
conversation
like fun.
cards. So you'll have full control over what card we are going to choose, and
Okay.
see what comes up. So it's either left or right, an inner or outer, and I'll actually put them this way. So I'm going to divide, and I don't know, in half somewhere around there.
Okay. Well, let's go with the left hand inner.
Left hand inner. Last time I spoke with Dr. Kevin Toman, and he actually chose left as well. Are you left-handed?
No, but I'm ambidextrous.
Oh, wow. Wow, you're one of those. That's hard. I can't really do
Yeah.
anything with I cannot write with the right hand. I've been left-handed. Interesting enough, just yesterday when we were at the birthday party, I talked to my friends and I said, when I was learning to write, we had to learn to write with a pen, the fountain pen, actually.
Yes.
And as a left-hand writer, I was having real breakdowns, some meltdowns about smudging the letters. So then eventually we were
Ooh.
able to get these obviously ball pens, and they were actually made in China, believe it or not. They were actually really beautiful and they wrote really well, but we call them Chinese pen. So that ended my meltdowns over smudged ink. Anyway, so the first question is, how would you like to improve as a person?
Ah, I would like to not take things so seriously and be much more lighthearted. I've spent so much of my life being very serious and very doctorly, and that this is a skill that's coming to me slowly.
It's being lighthearted. I actually spend time with you, and I think that you're a lot of fun. So if maybe the inner perception is slightly different than the outer perception, and that's actually common. So how would I like to improve as a person? There are so many there's so many things that I'd like to improve. I think that I'd like to be more patient with people who, I've had this situation. I'm driving in an EV. I'm driving a Tesla, and people on Maui are very anti-Tesla, and I had it vandalized several times. And last year, I was flipped off almost every day during the political turmoil. And I'm not political in the. I decided to kind of stay out of politics, but I would like to somehow not to take it personally and just kind of go, okay, whatever, like I'm fine with it, and let these people do whatever they need to do. But I just don't have the patience, and I get upset about it, and I go like, why do we do this? Like, we are all the same. If we sat down at the fire, or in a campsite, or it would be fine. Like, we would get along, and we just kind of have this artificial division, not realizing that we are actually similar, all of us. So yeah, so I'd like to not to take things as personally sometimes as well.
So may I share my one of my very favorite meditations with you? It's from Thich Nhat Hanh,
Absolutely.
and so it
Absolutely.
goes. So it goes. Nothing is worth my peace and joy. Breathing in, I smile. Breathing out, I release. This is the practice of freedom.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We should not sacrifice pride and joy. And at the same time, we are human. So I'll do my best. I'll do my best to follow your
Yeah,
advice. Maybe
it's
I'll just ask
hard.
you. Yeah, yeah.
It is
Oh,
hard.
life is hard. Life is hard, but at the same time, it can be harder. But do you believe that, some people say, well, like, I know that this happened to you. You go to a friend and you say, I just had a horrible day, like something happened, and, people vandalized my car. And they say, yeah, but, some people can't even have a car, and you're still better off, and so on. Do you believe that this is actually a good approach of friendship, or to be a friend, or not?
That's a hard question too, right? Because these are champagne problems, as we like to say, and it still was traumatic because you are perceiving that people are angry at you because of what you're driving, which is absurd in and of itself. Why should that matter? And so I think it doesn't help um, ultimately, other than to demean what you actually felt.
I am a big proponent of realizing that the human part of the human condition is process emotionally and otherwise, right? We are emotional human beings. And when I have a friend complaining about something, I know that there are worse things, there are tragedies and really horrible things happening in the world. But my goal and my place in that conversation is to try to understand. Uh, I don't know where I've heard it, but they say that the most important need of a human, or one of the most important needs, is to be understood, and to be understood what we're going through. And yeah, if people whine for 2 years or 5 years, then it may not be the right friendship or the right connection. But we all go through periods of needing to whine a little bit to process the information and move on and learn, right?
That's it. And I think that's Maslow's needs. We need to be understood and heard. And granted, you're not in a position where that's going to destroy your life, but still, that's a hurtful thing.
And yesterday I had a conversation with Dr. Kevin Toman, and he has like 5-star reviews on his website, like, flat 5 stars. And what I noticed with him, and I know that you're like that too, is that he's really there to listen. And I think that when people feel that you really are listening, and that you're really actually focusing on them and their challenges, and that you're there for them, that's when they really that's when the connection and also the healing happens better, right? As opposed to having a colleague who is stuck up or righteous or uncaring to the point of, here I am with my stethoscope around the neck and I'm going to tell you what to do. And if you don't listen, like I'm going to be, I'm going to tell you that this is not okay. I don't really know why this happens, but people complain about it, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's part of what happens with practice, right? We come out young veterinarians scared to death that we're going to screw up. And as we
Mm.
experience practice life and we learn and we grow, one of two things happens. Either we repeat that first year over and over and over again because we don't grow, or we learn and progress and become better healers and better able to listen to the surrogates for our patients, which are the clients. If we can't listen to them, then we can't truly know what the patient needs.
I find practice just the most amazing school of life because you see all those lives evolving in front of you with the animal friends in the picture. And I don't really know how you feel about it, but I used to see patterns when life goes well and when life doesn't go well. And it almost seems that the universe is actually listening and it gives us what we want and it also gives us what we fear. And so it's really about really asking for the right things and also learning and being open-minded. But how many how many times have you seen clients who only have healthy animals and only come for annual checkup and the animals are from different gene pool or different species, and then you have clients who come with animals every week, every month, with problems and problems, and again different gene pools and different breeds and different species, and still that happens. How often have you seen that?
Often, frequently, and it happens for ourselves as well, right? If we're focused on the problems that we have instead of, oh, well, when I'm through with this problem, when my knees stop hurting, I'll be able to hike for 12 kilometers in a day. It'll be amazing. So it is that. It's where you put your focus. There's a whole philosophy around lofty questions. So we can ask the question like, why am I struggling so much financially? Why are my animals so sick? And the universe will show us why. Or we could ask, why is my dog so healthy and vibrant? Why is my cat so happy and has such a beautiful coat? And the universe will show us that too.
Well, it's like when our animals do well, it's our achievement, and when our animals are not doing well, it's someone else's fault.
It's the vet's fault.
Just,
Yeah.
I almost feel that life is like a computer game. I'm not a computer game player, but I know that there are levels. And if you don't go through one level, if you don't master one level, you don't go to the next level. So it keeps repeating on a loop, right?
Yes.
And I think that that's how life is because it keeps repeating until you go, oh my goodness, like this is what's happening.
Yes.
Are you ready for another card?
Let's go for it.
Okay. Um, I'm going to divide it right here.
Right side, outside.
Right side, outside. That sounds cool. Right side, outside. Outside, right
Mhm.
side. What would you like to change about yourself?
The thing I'm actually working on is to keep priority relationships a priority and not let business consume them.
Hmm. That's really, tell me more.
I mean, you and I think we're very similar in the fact that we worked really hard, really long hours for a really long time, and our patients and our practice consumed us, or at least for me. Maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, and if I am, apologies. And
No, 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 not at
that
all.
comes for me, that came at a cost of health and ultimately. I ended up, with having to retire early because of a mold exposure and was diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment in 2017. And because I let that business consume me and the care of my patients be priority over my own health, my relationship with my beloved, and my relationship with my animals, I'm not I'm still fighting the demon, but I'm not making that mistake any longer. But it still is a struggle because it's like, I just love it so much, but there has to be an appropriate boundary.
I hear you. I had a concussion in 2013. I was rear-ended in a car accident, and you know, somehow after the car accident, got to the airport because I was in Calgary and forgot my suitcase and everything in the waiting area, and then got on the plane, and
Wow.
then just kind of I lost my short-term visual memory, and I somehow have been able to compensate since. But the brain is a such a mysterious organ, and we need to look after it, right? We need to protect our blood-brain barrier, and take omegas and make sure that we actually don't get ourselves stressed too much. And
Yes.
I hear you, and I know what it is like to have actually brain dysfunction. I also have a sleep disorder. I sleepwalked through glass door and almost died when I was 22. So we all have challenges, but I think that what I observe on you, number one, I would never notice, and that's the good news. And maybe the inner perception is again different than the outer perception. But I think that these things actually allow us to be grateful and also humble and also move on and progress in life and grow, right? I would like to be how I'd like to actually change one thing that I've been dealing with. When I was a little kid, as a little kid, like I would lose things, and my dad was especially really harsh about kind of like bring it up all the time. And so I became a little more anxious when I can't find things, and when I put my phone somewhere and can't find it, or glasses. And I still have this kind of inner anxiety about not being able to find things that I need to find, right? And so that's something that I definitely would like to change because it doesn't really matter. But the universe actually teaches me through me losing things that are sometimes dear to me, and I just kind of have to get over it. Or the other day, like this month has been actually really crazy because I had two favorite sweaters that like sometimes we just like some things that we wear, and somehow stupidly I put them accidentally in the washer on the hot cycle, so they're like mini sweaters now, and so I had to detach from those sweaters and calling my friend who's got a 6-year-old, and they actually look really good and feel really good still. They're just small. So I say, hey, do you need some sweaters? And she was excited because they're really nice sweaters. So uh, uh, making things, yeah, just, I don't know, learning to take it lightly, right? If it's not health and if it's not life, then it doesn't really matter that much. So I have to
That's
remind myself that. I have another side of this card. In what ways is your family especially odd?
hmm.
We can skip it as well. Like when it comes to family, I think that we should have the right to skip the question.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, you don't know if your family is odd or not because it's what's normal to you, right? So that's a hard one. I don't know. I couldn't say that I mean, we're all odd in our own way, but I couldn't say that there's any particular oddity about my family.
I think the oddness in our family is that it's evolved. And since my parents passed away, the dynamic has completely changed. And I noticed that. And it's so interesting because actually, you know what? I'll be really honest about it. So, 2 years ago, my mother, who was almost 88, passed away. And before, obviously, she was cognitively impaired, and the last few months were really difficult. But we always looked after her, and flew her to Canada, and looked after her well. And for some strange reason, and maybe it was a reason of logistics and simplicity, my sister and I live in Canada, and my other sister lives in the Czech Republic. So my mother had almost zero money, and this wasn't about finances, but she wrote a last will that basically said, I give everything to my daughter Barbara, and I would like Peter and Hannah to respect that. And it wasn't discussed, nothing was done except this little piece of paper that was notarized. And it shifted the dynamics. I felt so upset about it because it was more the emotional kind of disinheritance that actually for me was really difficult. And at the same time, I could not have a conversation with my mother. Did you do it because you thought that it would be more difficult if we are in Canada, and so on? Like, I have no idea. And my dad actually did the same thing with my brother. And so the two out of the four kids were disinherited, but not because of a conflict, maybe because of simplicity, or maybe my parents didn't care. But it definitely affected us on some sort of strange level. And it took some time to actually process it. And now I just go, oh, I think that it was lack of awareness than anything else. But still, that's where our family was actually a little odd. And I don't really know why I talked about it, but maybe it's good to kind of vent it out. I forgive you if you're listening.
Good. Yeah,
Wasn't a good
that is
move.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm lucky. When
yeah.
my brother and I were on the same page at both of our parents' death, and so there was no weirdness. And I know that we're very lucky for that, because that's a place where a lot of families can come unglued, is at their parents' death.
Yeah, yeah, that is weird. And especially if there is not money to inherit, right? Like, why would you do that? Like,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
some sort of
It's
silly
just
sum. Anyway, so are we ready for one more card?
let's go for it.
Okay, okay. And thank you for being game, by the way. It's are you homeopath as well? Do you know homeopathy?
I know just enough to be dangerous.
No, well, homeopathy is not dangerous, period, but it is a very
Nay,
complex
nay.
science, and I don't think that anyone can actually claim that they mastered it completely. I think it's a perfect science for AI because all the different books in Materia Medica, all the gazillion of books that are actually about homeopathy and how to prescribe could be actually compiled, and then actually it could be more effective and efficient. But I used to
Wow.
practice homeopathy quite a bit. And the reason why I actually had this kind of unexpected rant about homeopathy is that my homeopath recently gave me the remedy that is called phosphorus, homeopathic phosphorus. And it's all about communication and connection. And when it breaks down, it makes me unhappy or even ill. So I kind of realized that these times of connecting with my colleagues like you and others is that I love that. I love that. I love getting together with you and learning about you and sharing experiences. And yeah, so let's do one more card.
Philosophy at its
uh,
best.
what was that?
Philosophy at its best. Years of experience.
Philosophy.
And
Oh my
yes,
goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, I think that good conversation is better than almost anything. It's better than
yeah,
chocolate for me. But chocolate is
agreed.
pretty good too.
Chocolate's pretty awesome.
Do you like dark or light?
Oh, dark. And Mary Jo has a recipe. So she makes this stuff at home that's just the dark chocolate, either coconut
Nice.
oil or butter, and then just a touch of honey and coffee. It's just fabulous.
Oh, nice. Nice, nice, nice.
Good stuff.
You made me feel like chocolate now. I went off sugar about 4 months ago, and I'm almost good. Not 100%, just for everyone else. Don't you think that I'm perfect ever? Don't, yeah, I hate when people glorify you, right? Like when people think that you're better than you are, I'm scared of it. So I fail with the no sugar, but I've been off sugar and I eat only 100% or sometimes 85% chocolate, and the 100% is brutal if it's not good. But if it's really
Yes.
good, then you get used to it, right?
Yes. Then you can make cacao drink in the afternoon with a little pinch of hot pepper and salt, and you're good to go for the rest of the day.
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
salt and chocolate, there's something really good about it. So, Ruth, when you feel upset, how ideally would you like to be comforted?
Wow. Now that is a really tough one because, and actually something I'm still learning because I spent so much of my professional career being upset, seeing the suffering that animals were experiencing. And in order to get the person on the other end of the leash or the carrier to do as best they could for that animal, I had to conceal a lot of that anger and a lot of that upsetness. I mean, it's just, I worked in a very economically disadvantaged area for many years. And, there's a summer, many summers, I would spend treating 70 parvo dogs a week. And just,
Goodness.
I mean, just the
Oh my
sheer,
goodness. That is crazy.
it's just
Yeah. So what
crazy,
would comfort you
crazy.
if you were in that situation
Well,
and
and that's
I
it.
came
So,
for a visit or Mary Jo was around? What would
oh,
comfort you?
just a hug. And it's like, you know,
Mm,
yeah, this
mm,
is awful. All you can do is do the best you can for the dog. You are
mm.
loved, you're seen. Go do it.
There's nothing better than a good hug, right? I
Yeah,
agree with you 100%. A hug and maybe being listened to is kind of
yeah,
like a perfect combination.
yeah,
And knowing that there are people who are willing to do that. And how do you feel about friendships? Like some friendships kind of happen so naturally and they're so easy. And other relationships, you say a sentence and the other person makes it something else, or it becomes complicated. Or I had a situation where someone was staying at our house and I just asked, hey, where are the teaspoons? Like, I think we're missing about 3 teaspoons. And, my fear of losing things. Do you know where the teaspoons are? And she said, well, I have one, but I don't know where the three other ones, but I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy them. And I go like, please don't, like, please don't. Don't buy them. Like, you didn't lose them. I'm just asking. And that person says, see, like, we don't get along. We can't have a really good conversation. I said, well, I don't want you to buy spoons that you
wow.
didn't lose. So, and then, another person would just go, yeah, I have one and I don't have the other two and I haven't seen them. That would be so much easier, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's so strange how, like, if I can ask people to do one thing, just make things simple. Don't add anything, don't subtract anything. Just hear others, what they're saying, and be simple and plain in the answer or in the conversation, right? Like our mind just kind of starts bringing up different shit.
yeah.
Pardon my
And it's
language.
weird. Oh, but it's weird, right? Because some of those responses are like going to places that end up creating problems instead of answering a simple question. And
Mhm.
and then, that's the kind of the thing that's been puzzling to me. So what's fascinating is that I actually have more friends now in the process of traveling than I did working for almost 30 years in a practice. And the friendships that I make are very deep and tight. Like when we met in person, it was like, yeah, this is a good human being, and this is a person I want to spend more time
Likewise.
with. Yeah,
Thank you.
but what, it is my pleasure. Honestly, that was a wonderful day, and it's been great conversation since. But that's been the thing is that ultimately the thing that took me out of practice was a gift. And it helped me be able to be clear about what was and what wasn't important. I mean, it's astonishing what happens when you
Mm.
don't know what will happen in 5 years. I mean, with the diagnosis I got, I'm not supposed to have known who I was, who Mary Jo was in 2022. Clearly, yay, we're all past that and it got better. But
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
one of
yeah,
the
yeah.
the gifts is that like I can tell like this is a good person and we need to stay connected because we can help each other and help change things in the world.
And you know so much, and that's the benefit that you're not an average person, and so I can see how well you've done because if you didn't tell me, I wouldn't have known. But at the same time, it's kind of important to acknowledge that our body, like energetic metabolism and overall, kind of like our body goes through changes, and luckily, we have some methods of, I am going to call it biohacking, right? Whether it's omegas or whether it's hormone replacement therapy, or we just recently launched a product called MitoBoost, and it's NMN, which is a mitochondrial booster, NAD booster, and we added trimethylglycine, which is actually a source of methyl groups for the MNM to work better and not deplete the body. And it's sourced from Netherlands and Austria. So if you don't mind, when you're in the US, I can send you some Mito Boost, and I would love to know what you think because I've been taking it myself, and I'm hoping to be cognitively. I'm hoping to remember your name for a few decades.
Yes. Yeah.
I do all I
No, I
can,
will.
and
Yeah.
yeah. So please let me
No,
know.
we're
Remind me, text me, and I'll send you some because I'd like to know how you feel about it. We have
I
last
have yeah,
question, and I almost
let's
feel
go
like
for it.
I'm sad. I'm sad that this is the last question, but it's also a good one. And you know, it is really interesting how different the questions today are, and I think that because you can handle them really well, they're just a little more difficult than they were a few days ago. For what would you like to be forgiven?
For the errors that I made before I knew better.
It's a common veterinary kind of guilt, right? Like I'd like to be forgiven for recommending processed food and kibble in the 90s, actually, because I didn't know any better. And then I'd like to be forgiven about conventionally spaying and neutering dogs, and like to be forgiven for actually agreeing to neuter my dog Pax, who suffered for 2 years before we put him on hormone replacement. And based on what you're saying, you're kind of describing the veterinary guilt of not knowing any better at a certain point, and then you learn that you could do better, and then you kind of feel guilty. But there's a point where we just have to accept that we have done what we could with the information that we had, right?
Yes,
And that's the best we can do in life, period.
that's all. That's all. If you are presented with new information that shows you a different path, then your error would be to not use that information.
And that's the other thing. And I'm so glad you said that. That if we know that we are doing something that is not helpful, at the point of us learning, we have to change. And
Yes.
that's the integrity that I love about you. That I know that when you learn something new, you're going to change it immediately, even though it may not be convenient, even though it may not be even financially feasible. You're going to change it because that's where you are. And I feel the same way. Like, why would we sell yearly vaccines when we know that they're not necessary?
Yeah.
Why would we sell special low protein diet for kidney dogs and cats when we know that they're going to deplete, lose their muscle mass, and die actually faster than on high quality protein? This is something that I really would love to change about veterinary medicine. How do you feel about the current state of veterinary medicine? Are you hopeful? Are you not? Are you somewhere in between?
I am really depressed about it, to be honest. And I think that there's a combination of factors going on. One is the way the education system is set up. It's geared to teach general practice veterinarians to refer out. And now we're in a situation where for every internal medicine specialist that's minted, there is 100 open positions. So now the general practitioners don't really know what to do. And they're also being asked to see patients at an alarming rate, and a rate which they cannot possibly do a good job. And they are so fried at the end of the day that they don't have the energy to go home and study something else to learn a better way. So I don't know how to get us out of that. That's why I created the coaching program, because my thinking is that if I can train a group of people to help pet guardians understand the basics, that diet is the foundation of health, and how to make it doable regardless of where you are in your budget, in your finances, how to use basic supplement protocols, how to use traditional Chinese medicine. These folks are making a massive impact, Peter, and that's all I can ask for. And the beautiful thing is that there are now veterinarians coming into the course and learning these things. Granted, they're not at, the top level of learning, but they will make an impact for their patients, and then they will be inspired to learn other methods.
Empowering the guardians, absolutely, and teaching others how to actually empower the guardians. And we're the time of us relying, or dog lovers and cat lovers and animal lovers, relying simply on veterinarian guidance are over because of the corporate nature of veterinary medicine, because of the problems with actually finding veterinarians, because people realize that it's a really, really hard job, and prefer making living elsewhere. It is actually interesting, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen down the road, whether how it's going to all evolve. But I'm optimistic on the level of empowering animal guardians. That's what we have in common as well.
That's it.
And I hope that the future is good, and that we're going to sort it out as humans, because we sort out many other things, and animals are super important in our lives, and even more important than before. And also good friends like you. So thank you so much for being here. And it's been an absolute pleasure. Can I ask you where, or can I ask for our listeners and viewers, where can they find you?
Super easy. drruthroberts.com. I think on Facebook it's the original holistic pet health coach or something like this. Anyway, just Google Dr. Ruth Roberts. You'll find me on
Dr.
all
Ruth
the
Roberts.
all the platforms. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you so much being here,
A
and sending you a
pleasure.
big virtual hug, because we both
Right
like
on.
hugs.
Ooh,
And
yes.
I hope we can do that in person soon, sooner or later,
Soon.
somewhere, somewhere.
Somewhere.
Okay.
Somewhere. Ciao.
Bye-bye.